because the plan, what I was told is that like there are 4 Pithams here, they will go to 4 Ivy Leagues and set them up, 1 chair here, there. And once they've done this for Adi Shankara, they'll do it for Ramanuja also, they'll do it for this guy, that guy. All the big lineages, they will take over the global representation and interpretation for the modern 21st century. They'll put it in prestigious places and keep all the matthas happy and give them something in return to keep them happy and fly them to the US and give them lot of clapping and make them feel very proud. And we would be sold out. Our tradition would be gone. And if we can stop this, because Sringeri is the highest place to start, if we can stop this, then it will set a precedence in our favor. If we cannot stop this, it will set a precedence in their favor. So this is a very, very big thing, and I don't know the outcome, but this is the biggest battle for Sanskrit for which I'm writing this book. This is the biggest. So I also feel that we have problems which I've described in this book with our own people, including Sanskrit scholars, having inferiority complex and therefore the West is superior, having introverted, we don't want to fight, we don't want to argue, so they don't want to do Purva Paksha, that is what it amounts to, including ignorance. Some can't read English, most of them can't read English, or can't read the idiom, the heavy, serious English. Hardly any Sanskrit scholar I came across, traditional one, could understand the convoluted theories that these people are writing, because in these convoluted theories, they are quoting Western thinkers. You cannot, it's like somebody wanting to study Vedanta, he has to study so many commentaries and so many thinkers and so many points and counterpoints to really understand it. Because if a person from within our tradition is writing something, he's mentioning so many names and so many thinkers. If an outsider comes, he has to study all of them. Same is true in the other direction. If you want to read Western Indologists, they are quoting Western scholars from centuries ago. And so the Indian traditionalist doesn't have any idea what they're saying. You see, so they could be on the surface saying very nice, polite things, very beautiful language, like that kind of stuff. But what they are saying deep inside is not what the traditionalists would agree with. Yeah, but our traditionalists are not equipped to do that. Also, some of the scholars are sold out. I hate to say this, but some of the scholars are sold out. In fact, I lost a few friendships with some traditional scholars because they were very, very nice to me, we were very nice to each other, but the moment I told them who are the Western Indologists that I'm targeting and doing this Purva Paksha, they quickly stopped talking to me, because I was on the wrong side as far as they're concerned. They're on the other side. So some of these Western Indologists got Padam Shri, Padam Bhushan awards. Yeah, some of them have been on the big, organized, institutionalized mechanisms, supposedly reviving Sanskrit, promoting Sanskrit. But their idea of reviving Sanskrit is a Sanskrit without the Paramarthika, a secularized Sanskrit. So I have a section in this book called Return of the Charvakas. Return of the Charvakas. Because Charvakas were the people who rejected the Vedas, materialistic. They were solid knowledge in Sanskrit, but philosophically opposed to this spiritual, the sacredness. Didn't see Vedas as legitimate Shruti. That was their position. So today's atheists dominating the Western Indology study of Sanskrit, no matter how much they know Sanskrit, no matter how much they praise Sanskrit, the bottom line is they're like the Charvakas as far as their ideological framework is concerned. So it is the return of the Charvakas. And by calling them Charvakas, I'm actually giving them a tribute, because Charvakas are very well-known scholars, good scholars. So I'm also able to be politically correct with them. I'm also able to do the same thing to them. I'm able to say, you are Charvakas. Yeah? But these Charvakas are more dangerous than the previous ones. They are modern, very wealthy, lot of material power, political clout, sitting in Ivy Leagues with lot of prestige, controlling the discourse. filled with, and unlike the previous Charvakas, those previous Charvakas did not have, their writings were not filled with some Western or foreign ideology. It was their own. They were not quoting some scholars from another country. So they were not confusing the Vedic scholars. At least it was level playing field. It was fair. But these new Charvakas is unfair to us because they have the advantage of money, prestige, clout, and they have the advantage that they are always writing in a kind of idiom and using a framework which is alien to our own people. So our people feel left out and can't figure out how to talk back. So this new Charvaka era is where I would fit secularists, Marxists, leftists. That is the return of the Charvakas. Now if you say it this way, then you can tell the traditional scholar, you should respond to them, because we responded to them once before. If we responded to the Charvakas long ago, these guys are more sophisticated Charvakas, should please get up and do some Purva Paksha. So the purpose of this book is not insulting the other guys. Actually, I'm very full of respect for them, because like Charvakas, they are shaking us up. They're shaking us up, they're provoking us, they're giving us all kinds of counter arguments to our tradition. It is up to us to respond to them. So my call to action in this book is not on the other side, that you should stop and all that. Why should they stop? They have their intellectual freedom, they can continue. I have no problem with it. My call to action is on the traditional scholars saying, you better get out of your silos, you better wake up, you better get active into this Purva Paksha of those guys. Then we have an even field. Now, the most important Western scholar in this area that I am targeting and talking about Purva Paksha is a man named Sheldon Pollock, that many of you may not have heard about. But just like 15 years ago you never heard of Wendy Doniger and everybody heard now, because when I first wrote about Wendy Doniger, they said, why does she matter, who is she, who cares? I'm getting the same feelings about Sheldon Pollock, but I'll promise to you, within 2 years after this book is out, all kind of Indian scholars will be talking about Sheldon Pollock. And I have no disrespect. I disagree with his views. It is nothing personal. It's very clear. Nothing personal. I meet him, we have coffee, we have a friendly demeanor. And so when I told him that my goal is to start the Purva Paksha, he said, good, I've never stopped them. They never did it. I said, no traditionalist has critiqued your work in a serious way. And he says, after he thought about it, he said, yeah. I said, that is not right, because you are writing for 30 years, 40 years and become so important in penetrating the Indian psyche with your ideologies, but nobody has responded to you. You know what he said? He said, I never stopped them. I never stopped them. And he's right. He never stopped. Our traditionalists never did it. But he never said, don't do it. So then I said to him, I will make you very famous. Because and this is the hallmark of a great scholar, that there'll be a lot of people now buying your books and reading it and giving responses, and we'll have seminars and you come and we'll have good back and forth. And I honestly mean it. That is what I would like to do. I would like to create a home team of intellectual Kshatriyas who are grounded in our tradition but who also study. So I think with that I will stop. Thank you very much, and then we'll take some questions. Thank you.
ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಯಾರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಬೇಕೋ ಒಂದು ಸೈಡಿಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಿ, ಅಥವಾ ಇಡು ಒಂದು ಥಿಂಗ್ ಆ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಿ ಪ್ಲೀಸ್. ಐ ಆಮ್ ಸಾರಿ, ಈ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಬಂದರೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳಿ. ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಕೇಳೋರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ವಿನಂತಿ ಇದೆ.